Hey everybody, so tonight I've got kind of a weekend rundown going into Saturday morning. Let's talk about the current patch. We'll talk about XenoThreat that is not going to take place at this time unless they manage to get some desync fixes. I'm going to talk about a collab video with the Apollo and the health side of things with Awesome Ash. And then finally I'll wrap it up with a discussion on the mood lighting video, at least start that tonight. So we're going to have some fun and go through a lot of different things pretty dang quick at first. And then we'll kind of, I think, wrap things up with the mood lighting, maybe at least do a portion of it, because I have a lot of interesting things to bring out of the table when it comes to editing with lighting, and I'd love to chat about that in depth in another video. So without further ado, let's get into this. So there is a new variant of the patch, 3.14K, and this PTU patch has only a few things that are really important. The big differences being that the XXL hanger issue is back in the known issues list, unfortunately, when it comes to colliding with the ceiling. And they don't specifically say Orison this time, unfortunately. They still have that combat knife missing from the game. You're unable to scan for FPS or ROC size mining deposits are very close still, so that means a pretty important thing where players cannot fly around a ship, scan for something, then land with the ROC quickly, grab it. They'd have to be extremely close in order to do all those steps. So it's worth mentioning that the mining is still has a few issues, and that we're seeing the dots that are still ongoing. The actual differences this patch go around is pretty cool. Fire rate's been fixed on the ballistic Gatling size 2, so we'll be able to see a little bit more information about what they're actually supposed to look like. And a really big change, the Origin 325a's nose cannon, which was a size 4 laser cannon, was replaced with a size 4 ballistic Gatling. That's going to increase its damage, but it will mean that it is going to have a finite amount of ammo in that nose gun. Well, I'd love to know the differences between power draw and also on the regen of the laser cannon versus what the ballistic Gatling can get work done, but then it can't sustain as much. So I'm gonna have to test a few things with the 325a. It's one of my favorite ships. I have a fully customized one I really enjoy using, so I'm gonna have to figure out what they used for each one. Maybe pick up the original items and replace them. One of the things whenever they talk about the 300 series, when they replace something, it's very frustrating to me because of what I just said. I have it customized. So customizations in many of the 300 series are not just like a module or a coffee maker or something. It's also the weapon systems, it's the missile packages. Like there's a few different things that have been fully upgraded on that ship. Modules, weaponry, and then also amenities and little trinkets and things like that, like a clock, for example, or a coffee maker that allows you to stay out further because not many ships have water supply, unless you bring it along with you, of course, which is getting better and better with inventory systems getting better and better. At the very least, you can store in your suit a few water bottles and some snack bars. And then that kind of negates that advantage it has. But let's talk about a few of the other changes. Tweaked mass driver's damage. Not saying if it increased or decreased it. And heat and power tuning of the Origin 350R. I actually just flew tonight an Origin 350R in the 3.13 live patch. I can say that it's performing very well in that patch, although I suspect it'll be a completely different beast in 3.14K. So once this patch is stable, and I'll get to that in a moment, I would like to test that performance factor, especially on the 325 versus 350R. 350R should have better performance. 325A should have far better weaponry, which is what its focus is. It's a fighter versus a competitive / interceptor class ship. I also have an upgraded 350R that's designed to be like an interceptor a concept, at least the original. We'll see how it actually works in the modern game. I'd like to set up some scenarios with some folks in the near future. Keep your eyes peeled for that. They fixed some more issues, they say. Missile operator mode has been added to a few more ships that it should have worked on, so that's good to see that it's getting more across the board uniform. They fixed a few other minor issues and bigger issues. And most importantly, as we talked about before, they fixed things that cost 30Ks. That's really all you need to know about this. You can feel free to grab my video yesterday and grab the I and the J combination of the video. I'll put that video at the end in the card for this video, just so you can see that. Jump to the point that's in the description, and you'll see the I and the J. I make a lot of comparisons between those and the combination of those two. This K, which is the latest patch that's active, there's not much different. Only a few the same known issues pop back up. These are the main things right here. Gameplay updates and some bug fixes that are independent, or technical fixes that are independent. But these are all just fixes. This gameplay stuff is the only important things that is really going to be like, this is what the vision is for the future. Fixes come and go. Fixes will continue. These will eventually get fixed as well. But these things are what they're actually intending to keep for the rest of the game. Stuff to think about. Oh, by the way, the Reliant Tana also got a health increase. I didn't bring this up because I'm very hesitant now. I'm hearing through the smaller ships, folks that enjoy the fighters, they're saying that there's not much of a difference in these whenever you hear these boosts. So I need to test these myself. Particularly, I'm going to start with the 325a and the 350r in my next in-game video, hopefully, and cover these. And then if I have time, I'll try to cover the Reliant Tana. And yeah, it should be pretty simple to follow up with. Okay. So the PTU test team has requested that players get information about issues about player desync. So the syncing between players not functioning correctly is called desync. And player or player ships that appear immobile, even though they are moving and taking actions, player or player ships appear invisible to one another. Players snap to visibility after only being seated. So when you hold F, you hit sit, and then it finally appears everything around you instantly. These are things that you can look for. We're looking at videos with the QR code active. So you'll need to hit the tilde key to operate the console, and then type in this R display session info equals 1. Before anybody freaks out, even though this guy has the Evocati logo and that's kind of his thing, I am not in an Evo. This is not an Evo thing. This is for anyone who has access to the PTU. In this case, unfortunately, it's still PTU Wave 1 like you saw on the page before. I think very soon it will be out of Wave 1. Honestly, I suspected that this XenoThreat thing was going to be the final thing of Wave 1. If not, literally this weekend, they would have already been rolling out, the very least, enhanced waves like Wave 2 or PTU open to everyone, if it wasn't for this issue that's now popping up. The reason they're requesting all this information about player sync issues, where you're displaying your session info and you're grabbing that info and you're sharing it with them, with the mods and the devs, is right here. So if you received an email to encourage you to join up this weekend in XenoThreat testing for this weekend, and once again, this was something that was not devoted to Evo. This is something that was PTU wide. Anybody who had access to the PTU had access to it. As you see right here, it says PTU feedback. They wanted to run these sessions with as many players as possible, and then they got hit with this. They are getting unexpected server crashes that are blocking access to most or all of the game for players on the PTU right now. Unfortunately, because of this, we have going to have to postpone the XenoThreat playtest until we get this resolved, which can take time. No ETA and possible resolution. I'll update this post if it changes. So, with that change, with this unfortunate side effect, you can see how they already had this entire thread geared. They had emails out to the players that had access to the PTU, asking them to come on and test this weekend. I think they wanted to come back from the weekend where they had a skeleton crew team collecting the info, getting data, and then they were going to come back and the devs were going to be able to look through this wealth of data and then make a decision about 3.14 or any fine tunings necessary before it gets, released to a wider PTU, if that's still what they're trying to work towards. What ended up happening is this unexpected error that literally hit on Friday midday. So if you look, he posted this at 11 a.m. today, i.e. Friday. Right now, it's the morning of Saturday, technically now. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is all no good. Because of these issues, and the request for the desync reports by Bayar is because of these server concerns. So they're trying to track down what exactly is happening between players for those desyncs to happen. Do I have a crystal ball? No. Do I have some secret internal source? No. I can read. I see that they have issues with the players desyncing. The desyncs are getting so out of control that the servers are being forced to shut down, or they're having unexpected direct crashes, as in their own words of Wikipedia. There's your answer. So unfortunately, I think this is going to set us back a little bit on both the additional PTU waves, and I think it's also going to set us back on PTU Live, 3.14 Live, until they nail this down. The good news is there's a lot of people on PTU. There's been a very active community this go around, because they were willing to bring this out of Evo and bring it into PTU. We have a lot more people with eyes on. And I do still have confidence that next week they will widen out the PTU at the very least. And we'll have even more eyes on this and more testing completed. And this will be addressed pretty quickly. Once again, I have no crystal ball. I have no internal source. But that's just how it is. It has to work out. So do your part. Report what you can. If you do have a crash, make sure to send a crash report. If you see an issue that you're running into, be sure to hit the issue council. Don't forget about that. It's on the front page of the RSI website. Go to Cyberspace Industries. You go into the right side and you file an issue council report. You've heard me say it many times on these videos. Keep it up. And be sure to, if you see your report, upvote and make sure to put your system specs in for somebody who's already in there. That's just as important. Putting out a random report in is not as strong as with 5 people all saying they have the same issue, and then they can start putting things together going, okay, they're all running AMD CPUs. Okay, they're all using 16 gigs of RAM. You can start seeing these correlations. Which data centers they're going through. There's all these different things that they can go through to really see where the issues are, and then that ends up as one more of those one server or one client issue fixed, and the next PTU patch eventually will become the live. So, okay, something positive. So Awesome Ash has released our collab video. I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of her for knocking this out of the park. Her editing on this and our work has come out. I'm going to mute it. I don't want to spoil it or anything, but I do want to show just a few clips. And you'll see her editing style is a lot different than mine. She put a lot of work into this to really take our discussion and that really we clicked well on, and we really touched on a lot of different issues that involve the Apollo taking over for the Cutlass Red, and a lot of the changes that are going to be occurring with with medical gameplay, and about how you will have dedicated profession loops both at the handheld level, at the ship level, and talking about different specialty things such as cave gameplay, FPS gameplay, supporting of small orgs, a lot of exciting stuff in there. And we kind of hint around at different edges of Death of a Spaceman that are relevant for 3.14 and 3.15. So please, if you haven't already, check out this video. The link is in the description below, and it will also be on the end card to this video as soon as the video is properly processed by YouTube. I always thank him for the patience. I submit a lot of videos, so they've been good to me, but sometimes I do have to wait a little bit. And it's very hard for me, especially when I'm excited about something. I'm very passionate about this video. Once again, I'm so pleased with how it came together. I feel like it was very well polished and good, and like a lot of things that Ash touches, she puts a special spin on it, and I'm very happy for the collab came out so good. So please give it the time it really deserves. Give it a shot. That's all I ask. And like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in here. We go through multiple years of gameplay and about how the Apollo is going to look, the Cure Life medical guns, and about how they go. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a lot in there. Even if you're not deep into medical, your org is going to want to know what the implications are. And even if you're just a ship collector, how's the Cuddy Red going to be impacted, and is it still relevant? There is some use cases for the Cuddy Red that are still very, very good use cases. A lot of neat little nuances to this. So it's not just beating up on the Cuddies, okay? Promise. So give that the chance it deserves, if you could. That's all I ask. Okay. And Jared doing his thing, setting up the live development of mood lighting. Now, okay. So as we know, Jared's kind of like our window into development, into the artist teams, into the different pieces of CIG that make all the system run. One of the biggest things about this video, if there's nothing else you take out from this and you go, I'm not interested in lighting, understand that the more work that these two fellas do, the top left and bottom center, the more you will appreciate your game, because it will be more polished, it will have better performance, and it will plain and simple fit the mood and the style of any type of gameplay that you have. In this video, they talk about how there will be different settings, and they physically show how they're set up, where you can turn the lights down, you can have the lights at full task level inside your habs, and also in different other places. I'm sure if you've been on the MSR, the Mercury Star Runner, you've seen how you can turn the lights on and lights down. If you power down one of my favorite ships, the Connie Phoenix, or any of the Connies really, but the Connie Phoenix especially looks great when the lights are down and they're dimmed, but they're not fully out. You've already seen what these artists do, and that's what they are. They're artists. So Jared brought in these two folks, and this is a pretty interesting deep dive here. These guys are given an objective by the graphics team. They're told, we have this much resources to handle this room or handle this piece of a ship or components and in this area, and you need to kind of work your magic to make it look a certain way, feel a certain way, but only in this much resources are used on a graphics card. And they talk extensively about how everything they do is all graphics based. And I really appreciated this kind of deep dive into this video. I want to give it the justice it deserves, so I'm only going to show a couple clips tonight and to Saturday morning, and then I'd like to do one that's a lot deeper. I actually have a buddy who does some community development alongside me in VR chat. We use the Blender Unity workflow, and some really exciting stuff I'd like to talk about with him and kind of bounce things and talk about some of our old projects we've done together, and he's done, I've done, for this type of topic. It's not kind of like a full-on collab. It would be more of just he's coming in for a piece of it. But I feel that if I can talk him into doing this, it'll be really fun, and you guys will really get a great experience about what it feels like to be able to be creative and see this from an unrestricted example. In this video, what you'll see is a lot of the same technologies that I recognize from Unity. And in this case, they use it's kind of a convoluted combination of Maya into Lumberyard. But technically, Lumberyard's kind of not really a thing anymore, but that's what they're using on the Amazon system. I'm not even going to wade into that. But the way the entities are handled and all the different pieces of it that you see are in here. And I feel that it'll be really interesting to kind of try to show you from the mind of how a creative team would develop this and why they do things certain ways. And also why the heck they don't have closed captioning on this video. What the heck? The joys of this stuff. Lately, I've been getting good feedback on trying to do stuff a little more live, a lot less hard edits. kind of like keeping it more informal and showing you everything that I'm seeing and trying to share the experiences. If you feel that if it's too much or too little, let me know. I'm constantly fine tuning these videos as best I can. As long as I keep enjoying making them, I'll gladly adjust them a bit here and there to try to meet the needs of the community that we're kind of growing here. And I'd like to think that everybody's able to enjoy these. In this video, for example, though, they show something really interesting. So they have a tool that was created for their artists where they can hit a button and they can change the viewpoint to the point of a player. So it's a player instance. So all these things are how it looks in the editor, but all they got to do is literally hit one button. So they confirm that's the color they want. And then all they got to do is hit one button and all that stuff goes away. And they hit another button and they can put it like it's the perspective of a player. So if a player entity was looking at this without being able to see outside the walls and go, like some incredible mode, this is what they would see. And I think that's a pretty cool tool. Literally by hitting a pair of keys, they can change everything over and they can see what it'll look like, in that type of cool down mode, sleep mode versus task lighting mode where you're actually active walking around and trying to get stuff done around your place or getting your gear ready for your next trip or something on your ship. And this is going to become more and more important as your personal habs come online. Personal habs are going to be part of persistent hangars, and it's I think the official term they're using at the moment is persistent habitation, persistent habs. So I'm going to try to use their terms. I'm trying to keep the same terms and use the terms that they're using in the videos. It's not always possible. But what you just saw was a debugging mode where they flash on every single light to like 100% through a single source of white light to try to see where all the lights are and try to fine tune everything. There's a term in this business called critical pathing. So when you're trying to set up lighting, you need to make sure the places that a player is going to walk are easy to see and understand where they're supposed to be going, and they look the nicest. They go into that a little bit into this video. I kind of feel like a lot of these things were interesting to me for the wrong reasons. I would have loved to have them seen if, say, you take 20 glow sticks and throw them on the ground. Are they going to let you do that? How's that going to operate? What kind of little tricks and knacks do they have to make that function without it bringing your graphics card to its knees? And my best guess is that they'll eliminate shadows and they'll take away certain little tricks for the lighting to reflect a lot less, if not at all. But once again, I'm going to go into an in-depth video because when I put you in the Unity editor and I literally give you the keys and we can go walk through these, you'll be able to see how much different the speed of renders is. When you have all that extra stuff involved, you'll be able to see reflections and shadows and why they're so important and why having one on top of the other is a bad idea. Like, for example, that's really risky what they're doing right now, combining like 3 different light sources right on top of each other. And I feel more confident talking about these things when I'm at my home turf, sitting in Unity trying to rig this up so it'll work in the VR experience that is VR chat and, well, flat panel experience as well, technically. Because you don't need VR to use VR chat. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm going to wrap this up tonight. I hope this shorter video kind of nails a few things for you. The big takeaways are the XenoThreat test for this weekend is postponed. I would say that it is highly likely that it will not take place this weekend unless the teams are physically staying late just for the sake of staying late to finish this. I don't know how much they're going to be able to pull off. I would not expect it. I would not, like, if you had work this weekend, I would not take off of work just to do the test. Let's put it that way. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it works on Sunday. Be just pleasantly surprised, because it could very well be a server, a database server issue, and they track it down and they just fix it, and they get everything clicking together again. And if it's client side, based on all of our different reports we've heard from the devs, if it's client side on the weekend, it is highly unlikely they'll fix it until, well, Monday or Tuesday. Sorry, that's just how it is sometimes with these type of developments. I feel like a lot of these experiences are kind of put together, and we hope for the best in that experience. And when it works out, it's great. And it's kind of tough for the develop. It's kind of tough for a development team, because if they give you too much content and it's not all polished and pretty, and then it's wrong, even on a test server, people get all upset. But if you don't give you enough content quick enough, and it's not perfectly, it's all perfectly done, but there's not enough to keep people interested to have like 10 hours of gameplay every week at the minimum, then the most staunch and best supporters are going to down it. They're not going to stream it. They're not going to talk about it with their friends. They're not going to play it multiplayer. And then the community will die very quickly. Like, you need that dedicated core group of people, especially for any online game. And even if it's in test mode, alpha mode, over the course of a long time, you've got to have that strong community. So I don't envy the situation that developers are in. And I do understand that they're human. They got to be able to have their weekends just like anybody else. It's the middle of summer, for goodness sake. Everybody wants to go off. They've already got planned trips and everything else, I'm sure. I hope CIG can sort out this with the teams they have on the weekend. Hats off to you folks that are working through the weekend. I know how it feels. Good luck to you. And I'll keep everybody informed on these videos as we continue through the weekend. One last thing, a little surprise here. So Brian Chambers posted this up on his Twitter. I don't know quite what to make of this yet. That's why I didn't make a whole, chain video and analysis or even big piece about this. But Brian Chambers wrote up today, Squadron 42 milestone review yesterday. Yep, that was good. At Robert Space Industries, hashtag Squadron 42. And if you look, he posted this up July 16. Interesting stuff. I don't know what he's trying to build hype for, but he's talking about the milestone review for Squadron 42. Chris Roberts himself said he's taking his entire family, packing up and moving to the UK to finish Squadron. I'm guessing I'm not expecting him to stay there forever. I assume that he's only going to be there a few months to finish this up, but I think that's pretty telling. That you got Chris Roberts mobilizing his crew to get over there into the UK to help finish Squadron. You got Brian Chambers posting up Squadron 42 milestone review yesterday, and it was very good. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Once again, we'll keep an eye out for it. I found interesting feedback from folks about Squadron. And I gotta say, a lot of the Squadron feedback I was getting was very specific about very lore-heavy topics. And the two discussions I had were great discussions, but at the same time, it feels like the Squadron focus is very deep into the history that's before Squadron. And that kind of surprised me. So if anybody's wondering, I kind of find it interesting, the lore, especially, from far back. Although my excitement really stems from things that I can experience now or in the recent history, where I can see the wreckage of that accident that happened. The UES Flyza, for example, where it crashed. That's a very exciting thing, and that lore that reinforced it really makes me interested. But like the real ancient lore, where it's like the founding of the UEE, I feel like it's going to be so long until we can really see, the Sol system and really see anything there, that it's hard to get excited about it. It's just an opinion. It's not something where I'm saying I'm not interested in talking about the ancient lore, and I love talking about it, anything to the Star Citizen. But I would say that that's probably like if I put it on a ranking scale, I would put that probably near like the lower part of the ranking scale. But I'm still willing to learn, and I'm still interested in that stuff. I just have to be careful how I present Squadron 42, especially because there's a lot of stuff mixed in with like the first experiences with the Vandal, and there's like this interesting chasm where I became like an expert on the right now what we know, everything about what's going on in the UEE, and what's led up to Squadron 42 being sent out on a mission, and where it's supposed to go, and hit the play button. And I memorized the vertical slice, in the trailer that was really showing off a lot of the experience in there and how the advocacy interacts with the UEE pilots. Like I was like, I felt like I nailed all that, but it was like, what people are pointing out is they want to really focus on the old things. So I'm curious what Squadron is to you, and I think that might be a fun topic to really talk about the differences between the community excited about Squadron and the community excited about Persistent Universe. I'm not saying they're independent of each other, where like you can't be one or the other. You have to like pick one or something. But I am saying there are some folks that are diehard about talking about Squadron and wanting that experience. And one of the things I heard from one person, that I assume if I heard it from one person, there's a few more that think this way, is that they say, oh, I have no friends, I have no org mates. So I prefer that. I feel more comfortable in that single player environment. So that's why I'm kind of like focused on that. And I would strongly caution against that. I think if my time in EVE over 10 years taught me anything, it was that even the most single player mindseted person could find a place and really carve themselves out something truly amazing if they wanted it. There's going to be mission hubs. There's going to be NPC experiences that you can share. And if you want to, and if you don't have to. You will have your own personal habitation. You will have your own personal hangar. You won't even have to see other players. You can hop out of your bed and go grab your food and get ready, grab your gear, and get going into your own ship. And I would say that those type of people, though, should still focus on joining an org and finding some cool folks that are into the same mindset. If you're into hauling, if you're into mission running, if you're into the variety of different things that I think are going to pop up. One of the things I remember from EVE that I was really into was Outpost. Well, I thought I was. I thought I was big about building outpost parts. And I did build quite a few, and I made a lot of blueprints. But what I found very quickly was the level of trust that you have to have when you're talking about what in that game is billions of ISK, which would be like hundreds of millions of UEC, or I guess it would be a comparison, is so high that even if people know you for a while and everything else, they still don't trust you. So when I only took part in building what's called an outpost egg, which is the components to build an outpost in 2 situations, and both were successes, thank goodness. Very stressful situations, but one I was just dedicating components. One I actually helped christen the thing and build it out into an outpost. And both were successes, and that started giving me my reputation to be able to start moving parts and getting in the logistics chain for other folks' projects. Their dreams were on the line. And what I found is a lot of people that are into those large industrial projects that are very large play almost a single player experience inside a multiplayer experience. And it excites them that much more because they can share that accomplishment with so many people. When they build that outpost, they can name it. Yes, other people can try to take it off of you, but that's yours. You've built it. You know who built it. And furthermore, it's always on the map. Literally, when people click on it, who built that station, what corporation built it, and who was in charge of that corp, or who was in charge of their industrial logistics sides, wings. And also, like, literally, other people, hundreds of people, thousands of people can benefit from your efforts. So I found that a lot of those people tend to come out of their shell over time. They start as these, I'm only going to do single player. I'm only going to sit in the safest space. I'm only going to do this, that, and the other. And slowly but surely, without anybody coaxing them or pushing them anywhere, in their own time, in their own way, they find themselves a niche. They find themselves something that truly makes them excited and truly they can excel at. And then before you know it, you're accidentally playing in fleets. You're accidentally having some fun. And once in a while, you might actually shoot at something that's not a NPC. And that's okay. And you know what? That's pretty dang cool to have that experience where you have those different play styles and everybody is accepted. And you'll always find at least some group that's into it. Look at the community we already have and how many people are joining up at orgs. How many people are literally playing the equivalent of PvP already in Spectrum Warfare. I just saw today this argument in Concierge about whether we should rename ourselves the Chairman's Club or Concierge. Just in the past few days, look at the feedback that has been lighting up the general chat about all the different crazy things that have been changing in weaponry, shields, and now maneuverability, and how people have been responding to it. It is downright shocking to see, the number of replies, 50, 60 replies in the span of 24 hours in some of these forum threads. And don't even look at the replies. Look at the upvotes. It is fantastic. And that's why I've been encouraging it. I'm not saying it's me at all. I hope that at least a few of you have gone over there. I don't take credit for anything, but I hope that, everybody, including you all listening, encourage your fine friends and org mates to get their butts in there too. Mold the world you want to be a part of. And then, you know what? It's not going to be perfect for anybody, but you should be able to be comfortable there and have a good time most of the time. And yes, once in a while you're going to have problems. Yes, we're not going to completely ever get rid of pad griefers, but with persistent hangers, with actual crime stats that stick and actual bounty hunting that matters, you're going to find that those issues are going to kind of have a habit of burning themselves out pretty quick. And the folks that are left, well, guess what? You're going to have people who have your back. And that's a pretty cool feeling to have. And you won't even need to beg anybody for help or anything else because you're going to find yourself that niche in the world you're building. And no, you don't have to buy some crazy expensive ship to be a part of any of that. Get yourself a game package, relax, and have a good time. That'll do it for me tonight. To quote Jared, I guess, what did we learn tonight? I'm going to just kill it here. This was an informal video. Please keep the feedback coming, even if you want to do it on Discord. Server for a fine group of folks that we play all sorts of games. Anybody's welcome. It's right below. If you want to directly talk to me, RedJ, #0001. I am always available to chat. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend.